What's up, everyone? Karue here from my Tennis HQ. Hope you guys are doing great. As you can see, I'm back in my studio, and by studio I mean my tiny little apartment in Los Angeles. Just came back from a very successful trip to New York, where Naomi took the title, and I mean it was kind of out of this world. Kind of don't even really have words to describe how it was to be a part of that, but it was really awesome, and kind of like a once in a lifetime experience. Hopefully not, to be honest. Hopefully it's a once every 3 months experience, as I work with her. But in any regards, it was like really cool, and I think a lot of you guys have questions, and I think it's kind of something that would be interesting to share because it's so unique. I don't think a lot of people have experienced that, so I think I just want to talk a little bit about it. Again, I'm not going to get too much in detail about Naomi. This is my Tennis HQ, and my work with her is totally separate. But you know, there's just certain things that I think I learned from this that most players at any level can actually take it to their tennis routine. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about first how I got the job. I think a lot of people ask that, and I just want to quickly touch that subject. Second, talk a little bit about our life in the bubble, how it was, how the US Open was run, all those kind of things. I will talk a little bit about my role as well on the team. Obviously, as you guys know, I'm the hitting partner, but I'll get more in depth into that subject in a little bit. I'm also going to talk about some of the challenges that come during a Grand Slam run, mentally, physically, technically. Some of the things that, you know, us as the team, we had to navigate, and I think it was really important to be a part of that, just to learn how to address those sorts of, you know, bumps that you hit along the way. And the last thing I'm going to do is talk about the lessons I've learned from this experience, some of the key takeaways that I've had from this experience, that hopefully kind of enlightens you in your training, in your approach to tennis. So let's just jump right to it. Okay, so a lot of people ask me, how did I even get to become her hitting partner, and how, you know, I'm even part of the team. And there's not a big story to it. I've been in LA for 8 years now. She recently moved to Los Angeles, and you know, I think they were looking for a good hitting partner at the time when she moved, and you know, her team reached out to a lot of people in Los Angeles, and they recommended me. My name kind of kept popping up. I'm obviously well connected here in the tennis world, so a lot of people thought of me in that time, and you know, they just reached out to me. Let's do a tryout. I'm obviously good at hitting the ball, so that wasn't going to be a huge issue. It's more like, can you fit on the team and with the dynamic, and you know, everything went smoothly. Again, not a huge story. It wasn't like I went to like a hitting partner tennis academy and, you know, I was the #1 draft pick or something like that. No, it was just I was in the right place in the right time. And obviously it worked out, not just, you know, hitting wise, but you know, with the chemistry with the team. So that's about it. So again, just to put that one to bed, it's not this huge, dramatic, you know, dreamy story. It's just being in the right place at the right time, and obviously, you know, being able to do my job correctly. Okay, so moving on to the New York bubble. As we went there, we didn't really know what to expect. We just knew it was going to be a much different experience, even from, you know, Australia a few months before. So we flew private there, so we, you know, obviously wouldn't have any risks of getting in contact with anyone in the airport, which was really smart. And we were one of the few teams that stayed at a house instead of the hotel. There are some guidelines to, you know, how you would be able to stay in the house. But we did it, and I think that was really helpful for us to be able to stay in the house. And life in New York was interesting because at the same, you know, playing without fans is obviously for the players was, you know, when you're playing, it's, you know, it's nice to have the fans and all that, but for all the other stuff outside, being on the court is actually easier. We had to get COVID tested every 4 days at the hotel or at the site. You know, there was like, you know, they set a system in place, which was really nice. We would get, on our phones when was the day that we needed to go get tested. It could be on the site or the hotel. And overall, they made it very easy. The USTA did a tremendous job making everyone feel safe and just feeling like, we could actually do this. At first everyone was a little cautious when we were playing the Western and Southern Open. But overall, it was a decent experience. At Arthur Ashe Stadium, we used all the suites that usually sponsors or firms buy them for the tournament. They actually put the seeds in the suites, so we could order food in there. Everything was much easier. They would bring the food up, so there wouldn't be a lot of people in restaurants mixing it up. There wasn't a lot of team socializing. We all kind of stuck to the people we were there with, which was very smart. Actually, the suite thing, I don't know how the players are not going to have this anymore in the future, because it actually made it very easily. That's one thing that even in Grand Slams, it's not like every player has this nice setup to just chill in between matches and all this stuff. It's like, it's almost similar to a junior tournament. You have to wait around. There's, you have to be in the players' lounge, whatever it is. And this time we actually had our own suite, so it made it much easier. We had a bathroom in there. We had everything. You could have watched the matches on Arthur Ashe. So that made it very, very fun as just a tennis fan. I like watching, so I was just watching a ton of tennis. It was actually kind of nice. But overall, good experience. Life in the bubbles. When we went back to the house, we had just order food in, order Instacart for groceries, all that kind of stuff. So we just kind of had a normal life. We couldn't do anything, so we didn't really do anything fun. We just house, site, house. We even had to send our location as we were driving to the house to some people at the US Open. So it was really interesting. It wasn't like, obviously by the end you were just tired of the same old routine. You can't really do much. But overall, it wasn't that bad. Obviously, we didn't stay at the hotel. I can't say for the people who actually stayed in the hotel, but for us, it was as comfortable as we could make it. And I think USTA did a tremendous job, and I think you can take nothing from this tournament. So just a little bit about our routine. I think a lot of people asked about it, and I think in a way everyone is expecting it to be like this amazing routine, and it's not. It's like anyone else's day. You would wake up, get your breakfast. Each person, depending on what time we would practice, each person would do their own thing, even if it's like working out. Not Naomi, but the rest of the team, myself, work out a little bit on our own. Like we're not just together all the time. If anything, it is important to give each other space because you're spending so much time together. So we did that, and then we just set up practice schedule. Because she had a hitting partner there, we had to hit earlier in the day before the tournament started. When we were just practicing a lot there before the Western and Southern Open. So we would have to go and get there by 8, be on the court. So it's early. Obviously, I think the biggest difference between someone like, someone top 100 and top 10 like her compared to, your typical tennis player at a club, the routine takes a little bit longer. The warm-ups are longer. You do a little bit of treatment before just to make sure the body's loose, all that stuff. It is a full-time job. It's not just like, hey, we go to the court and pick up the stick and start hitting. Getting that routine down was really important. We would get there around 2.5 hours, 3 hours before the match on match days to do all that, hit, have some time to eat, and then redo the warm-up before the match. So think about getting there. You have to do a little bit of treatment, 30-minute warm-up, and hit with me, and then you need a little bit of time to eat, and then to get ready, to get dressed. There's all sorts of walkout time, implemented by WTA and the tournament. So you just have that. You have to really do that well, and by the obviously by the end we were just it was automatic. So, again, it's not as glamorous as you think. It's a lot of work, and we're not, doing all these fun things during our day because we have the time off. The days that we have off, it's it's going to be off. We did a little bit of fitness in the days off during the open, but not a lot of hitting. So again, forget like thinking that it's too glamorous. Obviously, COVID made it even less glamorous, but at the end of the day, tennis players, they need to, they play their matches mentally draining, it's physically draining, so they take a lot of time to recover. And tennis as a whole, it's like you almost have to be a little bit of a loner to be able to survive the tour, because you have so much free time and time by yourself. So that's just kind of how it is, but it's important to set up those routines. So a little bit about my role as a hitting partner. I think the title hitting partner can be a little broad. And might think just, oh, okay, you just hit, or what is it that you do? And I think it really depends on who you work for. I know some hitting partners that, man, they struggle. They have to carry all the bags. The coaches just tell them to shut up and just do their job and be on the side just hitting. So luckily for me, this is not the case working with Naomi and for this team, because Wim is a guy that allows me to give him feedback, and even her, and I'm the person who's sitting with her. I'm the one who's feeling her ball day in, day out, and I'm the one who can also hurt her and see what she's struggling with. So that feedback, that back and forth is important. So I am happy that I'm able to contribute that way, not just by hitting, but by again, I'm a curious guy. I like learning about tennis, and I think this is the reason why I'm doing this. Is the reason I'm learning from the best. I'm seeing what the best are doing. I'm constantly in the highest level of tennis, observing. So Wim and I, we talk a lot about tennis. We're always discussing technique things and ways of improving. Not her, not Naomi, but just people in tennis. Like I'll ask, like, how do you teach someone how to do this? And we had like this big discussion about backhands in New York. Me and him, we were always like going back and forth. So obviously teaching tennis is every person has their own method. It's no one is necessarily fully right, fully wrong, but it's nice to always be getting different feedbacks. And I think in my case, in this team, I'm able to contribute because I have that freedom of being. I know I'm a knowledgeable guy when it comes to tennis, and I can add some, even if the smallest feedback, to Wim, and we can agree or disagree, but it's always nice to have that back and forth. And I think part of the reason that we've been so successful is because we do that. It's a very nice environment, and we like to learn about tennis. So again, it goes a little bit, in my case, goes a little bit just beyond hitting, but at the same time, I need to stay sharp. So the day during the tournament that like she ends up hitting a little bit less, just more warm-ups, and we don't necessarily go out and do 1.5 hour practices the day before she plays. So on the days off, like Wim and I went and practice, and we discussed a lot about tennis, and I want to stay sharp. I like hitting. So again, not necessarily the most glamorous job, but it is fun, and it is something that I'm learning a lot during the process, and that's why I think it's valuable that you keep subscribing to this channel, because what I'm teaching you guys is coming from the top of the top. It's not necessarily just gimmicky things you're seeing on the internet. So make sure you subscribe. That was a great plug-in. All right, so some of the challenges that happen during a Grand Slam run, or if anything in any tournament. I think it's important for you, even as a viewer, to understand that once we're in the tournament, we're not doing pretty much any technical adjustments. We're hitting, we're sharpening things up, but the technical work was done here in LA for 10 weeks before. That's where we were doing technical stuff. Once we're there, we're not messing with technique. We're not learning a new skill there. No, at that point, we're just trying to stay sharp and peak at our tennis level once the tournament starts. So, keep that in mind when you're training, that like once you're in the tournament, you're not learning how to hit a new shot. You're just going to play with what you have. And during those training blocks, That's when you're gonna, do the more technical work. In a tournament, I think serving, returning, very, very important. So for any of you out there who's going and playing tournaments, serving and returning during the tournament is probably the best thing you can do. And I think the most important was the mental side. It was challenging being in the bubble. We couldn't really do anything. We were just, with each other every day. But even by the end of the tournament, we couldn't even look at the food anymore at the courts. But mentally, it's hard. I think we glamorize the ATP and WTA tour. We think, oh, these guys are just living their best life, whatever it is. But when you take away, the prize money and all that stuff, it's tough. You're just kind of there. By the end of the tournament, there's no one there anymore. You're almost like alone. So those are the kind of things that, like, especially people at the top like her have to deal with it a lot. So I think fans in general need to stop glamorizing that it's so easy being on the tour. It is not. It is a tough place to be. So mentally, it's really tough to get through those 2 weeks. And obviously, the further you go, the harder it gets, the tighter you might be. But just to see how she was able to pull through those matches, and I think one amazing aspect of any, not just her, but any champion like that, is that they're able to keep playing their game even when mentally your brain might be telling you not to. It's like, don't keep going for the shot, don't like you're tight or whatever it is. And you could tell, like, even in very tight situations that I was sitting outside, like, oh my god, like really tight, she was able to like keep hitting winners, keep going for big serves. And I was like, that's the difference. And I think that's the difference of a good player to a great player to an outstanding player, how they're able to manage the mental side. Everyone feels pressure. I think everyone is always going to feel the butterflies, but how do you manage that it's way more important. And man, a month in a bubble, really, it was challenging for everyone. We were all like kind of struggling a little bit, just not being able to do anything, the routines, and you were just kind of like, oh my god, I'm getting over it. But you kind of keep looking at the finish line, keep lifting each other up, and I think we did a tremendous job with that. And obviously she just, no words to explain, how she did that, but she just pulled through, and I think it was really beautiful to watch. All right, so now that you've heard me talk for however many minutes so far, I want to share some of the important lessons that I took from this experience, and I think anyone can learn and use this on their tennis journey. It doesn't matter what level you are. The first one is to build a good team around you. Obviously, most players, don't need to travel with 4 or 5 people like Naomi did, but just trusting the coach you're with, trusting the fitness coach you're with, just trusting that the people around you are actually helping you reach your goals. I think that's really important. I think that was our role, as the team there. Obviously, Naomi is the star, and she's the engine that drives this thing. But we are the team, want to make sure that the engine is running properly. The second lesson is trusting your routine. Routines are incredibly important, especially in tennis. By the end of the tournament, I mean, we were almost on automatic. Like, we weren't even thinking about it. It's like, we know what time we're going to leave. We know what time, warm-up is, tennis is, recovery is. Like, having that routine, it's key, because when you're on the court and there's all the sorts of variables that are happening, the one thing you can trust is that you put in the right work. You can't look back and be like, maybe I should have done this, maybe I should have done that. Obviously, her routine is much different than someone's, again, club level player, someone who's watching here. But, making sure that you're able to, get your body warm the right way, doing a little bit of a rollout, whatever it is, even if it's like listening to music, finding a way to mentally be 100% into the match. Those are all things that like you need to find for yourself. Everyone is different, but it's incredibly important to trust your routine. And I think for us, we had a phenomenal routine back in New York, and I think That's something that we can really be proud of. The third lesson is managing the mental side. It's the hardest part. It doesn't matter if it's for winning a slam or winning your weekend club title, managing, your mental, that racing machine in our heads can be the toughest part. You can do all the training physically, all the training on the court, but if your mental side isn't there with you, it's going to be really hard to succeed. And for us being there for almost a month, we saw there would be days, again, like I've said it earlier, she mentioned she was a little bit extra nervous. How do we manage this as the team and all those kind of things, and our job is to try to find ways to lift her over that hump. And for you it's the same. It's how do you find a way to manage your emotions a little bit better. It's really hard. Tennis is a mental sport. I've said this a million times, but it is the make it or break it of any player. So make sure that you creating the best possible environment for that mental side of it. And just fighting with your kid or with your partner, whatever, it won't really work. It's like it needs to be something that it is addressed the right way. And I think we ended up doing it well in New York, and I think it's a huge reason why she succeeded. I think she was in a good mental state, and it's a lesson that I took for heart this time. That it's like, okay, I always thought the mental side was the most important one, and then seeing it happening really really put that to bed. So again, mental challenges everyone struggles with, but that's the most important thing you can work on to develop your game, to be honest. And finally, the last lesson, and this is not something that I just learned during the US Open, it's something I've been learning for the longest time as I played and as I worked with other pros. I think a lot of the people watching, especially online tennis instruction, they think that pros they have the secret thing where they're reinventing the wheel, and there's crazy drills that we're doing that no one else is doing, and that's why we're much better and whatnot. No. The reality is, pro training is very simple because, again, obviously, pro players don't need to spend hours and hours hitting cross courts. They already know how to do that. So everything's very specific. How do we improve this shot? How do we improve that shot? So our practice is very specific. We'll work on certain things for a long time, but we don't have to. We're not feeding a different way. We're not doing anything different. Like, we're still doing the X drill that everyone does. We're still doing just serving first ball. Like, there's nothing is nothing is out of this world. So I think, on your tennis journey, don't think that's why I said it earlier, trust the person who you're working with, because it's not this coach or the other coach, he's probably doing something different, that's why we're going to hire him. No, it's not. Like, the same drills I was doing when I was 12 are the drills that Naomi is doing, or the drills Schwartzman is doing, or the drills that Novak is doing, like just doing 2 cross 1 line, moving the ball like that. Everyone is doing the same things. It's obviously when you're at that level, we want a lot more quality. We expect a lot more quality, right? We're not expected to miss on the second, third shot. So it makes it a little bit harder. But our emphasis is in quality and not in, again, some crazy way to train. So again, don't think that we're doing anything out of this world on the court. No one is. You can kind of kill that dream that one day you're going to look online, you're going to find a drill Roger Federer was doing, and that's what's going to solve your tennis problem. It's not. It's not. Every player is different, and the way they need to train is unique to their characteristics, and it's important to work with someone who can see that and who can help you improve. Alright, so this is it for this video. I know it's a long one. Hopefully you made it through and didn't fall asleep. But I try to add as much as I could about this experience, which was crazy. I I when it happened, like, for 3 hours, you're just like, what did this actually happen? It's kind of like it's high. You're just like, whoa. So obviously now came down back to LA, back to normal life, but it was really, really a fun journey. And, I wanted to share with you guys a little bit of what I learned and, what I'll continue to explore here at My Tennis HQ. So make sure you subscribe to our channel. If you have any other questions about, our time in the bubble, let us know in the comments below, and visit mytennishq.com. We have a lot more articles every week there. So, if there's anything you're curious about in tennis, I'm sure we got it covered there. Follow us on social media at mytennishq on Instagram, at mytennishq _ on Twitter. And I'll see you guys on the next one.